Hello, everybody. Brian Stevens over here at Mortgage Shots. I have Valerie Saunders, who is the president, the CEO, and let's just say the grand poobah of everything going on NAMB right now. Now, we had a chance here to kind of pre-screen here to figure out some talking points, and man, there's a lot of stuff that's going on right now. So I just want to get straight to the point. First of all, how we doing?
Good. We as an industry are hanging in there and just like everybody else, hoping for lower rates.
So let's jump into this immediately. The first thing is we've got NAMB. Let's talk NAMB real quick. By the way, I think I'll be going to that. It's on April 15th through the 17th. I get some videos out there, talk with a whole bunch of folks, but give me a couple of minutes on what that's going to look like.
So as you mentioned, it's April 15th to the 17th. It's in Washington, D.C. at the Hyatt Regency, Washington, which is very close to the Capitol Hill area. The first day is our Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Conference. The chair of our committee is Nora Guerra. She's the Senior Affordable Lending Manager with Freddie Mac. And so she is really, with our DEI committee, spearheaded this day. We have Danny Gardner, the SVP of Single Family with Freddie Mac. We have Scott Reuter, the Chief Appraiser for Freddie Mac. We have Pam Perry, the Vice President of Equitable Housing for Freddie Mac. I've also got Charles Lowry, the Senior Policy Director with the National Housing Conference, and Laura Arce with UNIDOS. We also will have a panel with all of our DEI committee who represents Latino, Black, AAPI, LGBTQ+, disabilities, Native, the full gamut of representatives in the mortgage industry, really doing a deep dive on how we can close the wealth gap within our communities. And then on Tuesday is our legislative day, where we will have Representative Warren Davidson, who is the representative who's working on flood reform. We will also have FHFA Director Sandra Thompson. She's always great. She comes there ready, willing, and able to answer any question that may be posed to her. We have Adrienne Todman, who up until last week was the Deputy Secretary of HUD, but when Marcia Fudge stepped down, she is now the acting HUD secretary. We also have Jeff Markowitz, who is the deputy CAO with Freddie Mac. We also are confirming the new chair or CEO of NMLS. They just recently changed leadership. I was actually at the NMLS user conference in February where they announced that they're raising fees. Didn't go into any great detail, so hoping to get more info on that. But of course, we also have version 6 of the mortgage call report.
It's so government of them. After further review, everybody, we've considered everything needs to be more expensive. Par for the course. Anyways, carrying on.
Yeah. Well, NMLS is interesting because I think people think that they are a regulatory agency, but they are really a for-profit company that is, owned by CSBS and Armor. Of course, they discussed, well, we haven't raised fees since 2010 when we, came into...
the thing about them is NMLS, as every loan officer knows, their interface is like so modern and everything is so up to speed. So clearly a price hike makes sense. I mean, with technology like that and the sticky interface, boy, I got to tell you, they have to be spending a fortune keeping that site up to speed.
Well, at that user conference, they actually talked a lot about NMLS 2.0. They are working on a new system, but I don't think it's scheduled to roll out anytime soon. Probably not for the next at least 2 years, maybe longer. They're rolling out Mortgage Call Report version 6. Which will everybody will be using for this first quarter filing.
Gotcha.
And there's a lot of conversation about what's going to happen if for some reason that your company doesn't interface well with the system, especially those companies that have large volumes of originators.
Right.
And transactions, and they're uploading them into the system. Is the state regulator going to give those companies a break if for some reason they're not able to file in a timely manner? Otherwise, if you don't, you're going to be fined.
There's always to be grace periods with that stuff, though, isn't there?
I mean, you have a 45-day window, but there really is, unless the states come out specifically and announce leniency or a grace period, they can't. Yeah. Because they're statutorily obligated to do whatever they're state rules and regulations are.
And what's really interesting with that, because this is always the case, is how long is it going to take them to make the site available for us to do the things that we need to do? So that window, it seems like it might be fairly large now, but by the time they get their act together, it could be a moment in time. And then we know when we have shorter windows, that's when, everything jams up. So that'll be interesting. It's we got a logjam in front of us of sorts.
Yeah. And they did have, they've done they've done one webinar so far, which filled up very quickly. And so they recently announced another one. And I actually signed up for it. I'm trying to look to see when the heck it is. I think it might be early April, but I'm sure that's already filled up. So, I will share what information I gather with our members for those that weren't able to register for the webinar or weren't aware of the webinar. But it's going to be interesting.
It certainly will. Let's switch gears for a second. Talking about ledge, here's one thing that we could ledge about if we chose to, is junk fees. That is the latest Beanie Baby. It's the latest Tickle Me Elbow, pet rock. It's the latest craze of craziness this industry is trying to tackle. Junk fees, one, what's our position on junk fees? And two, what are we doing right now in order to really advocate for the LO and frankly, the buyer's position on this stuff?
This conversation really sort of got spearheaded when President Biden made some announcements regarding junk fees in his State of the Union address. And then also we had the CFPB put out a blog on March 8th regarding junk fees, which I do highly recommend if people do not subscribe to that blog, to go to consumerfinance.gov and click on news, and you can click directly on blog and you can subscribe to that page. So when these things come out, you'll hear about them first and can be aware of what's happening and be able to, at least participate in the conversation. But, they were very focused on the increased fees to the consumer. One of the things they mentioned was discount points and comparing 21 to 22, which is almost nonsensical considering where rates were in 21 and where they wound up towards the end of 22. Of course, people are going to be paying discount points.
Oh, you stop using all that little silly logic stuff over there. Nobody wants that from a government agency. How dare you? It's interesting. I looked at I guess a settlement statement from today, and I remember settlement statements from 15 years ago, and I really haven't seen a whole bunch in between. And I was shocked, absolutely shocked at the cost of putting a loan together with the junk fees. Now, with that said, the reason for the increases in all the junk fees has absolutely everything to do with consumer protection. It has everything to do over the last 15 years with the CFPB, the advent of the CFPB, and all the additional compliance issues that mortgage lenders have to go through. All the support that they have to provide for that, the programmers that they have to hire for that. I mean, it's almost an insurmountable job. And because it's expensive, as we know, everything kind of rolls onto the consumer, so the consumer pays for those junk fees. And my position is, I'd like to hear yours, but my position is like, listen, lenders have to be profitable. They're either going to get it through the junk fees or they're going to get it through a higher rate. And frankly, if I was a consumer right now, I'd rather not finance that tech wing of, any, I don't want to point out a mortgage company, but you get the idea of any mortgage company. I don't want to finance that tech wing over 30 years. I'd rather pay the junk fees up front. Does NAMB have a position on where the CFPB is going with this?
Our position is that basically, we find issue with the CFPB's comments regarding junk fees. As I mentioned, just the discount points, using that as a junk fee. They also mentioned title insurance, which there's been some conversation because recently FHFA came out with the announcement regarding attorney opinion letters, accepting those.
Right.
But they're only accepting them for properties that were acquired free and clear in a refinance transaction. And how many people in this day and age purchase properties free and clear and then go to refi them and place a mortgage on them?
I think there were 3.
Right. So it's obviously we're all for keeping costs as conservative as possible, but I think you could ask any TPO lender out there. Nobody is killing it making originating loans from a lender perspective, because as you mentioned, there is the cost of technology, there is the cost of just maintaining those consumer protection levels. And so, to look at them as if they are useless fees or layered on junk fees is really kind of doing the industry a disservice. I know I had a conversation with somebody the other day, and they talked about going back to bundling. And it's like, hello, Consumer Finance Protection Bureau. Isn't that why in 2015 we went to TRID and we went to a closing disclosure and loan estimate that more openly disclosed all of the fees so a consumer could know what they're paying? Where, if you recall, prior to that, we were doing bundling where there was maybe 4 or 5 charges, but people didn't know where their money was going to.
Yeah, but you bring up a great point. It was just like processing, underwriting, doc prep, notary, title, escrow, impounds, done. And everything was fairly easy to see. Right now, it's become this real kaleidoscope, like a cornucopia of craziness. But
it's disclosing. It's disclosure. How much? It's really, quite honestly, it comes down to how much, Mr. and Mrs. Consumer, do you want to know? Do you want to know where every single dollar that you're spending and that you're either coming out of pocket on or you're rolling into that loan is going? And if you don't, that's fine. However, there's a lot of people that do.
Oh, I don't disagree with you, but my point is, I think in the process of trying to get them to know, that we've created so much noise that it's become more difficult to do. It's a really interesting topic, though, with junk fees, and I think I agree with you. I think it is kind of a disservice calling them junk fees because, listen, these lenders, we know that lenders over the past few years have not been profitable on a per loan basis. That's not tenable for any industry for any length of time. So they're going to get it one way or another. So that's great to hear that NAMB's fighting about that. Hey, listen, Valerie, this is all great stuff. So you're going to be in DC?
I will be there.
Anybody in particular that you're looking forward to talking to or seeing?
Well, I always really look forward to speaking with Director Thompson, just because she's so open with the information that she provides. When we have speakers like Director Thompson or anybody really from one of the regulatory agencies, we have to say there's no press, there's no recording. So they will talk openly. A lot of times you go to some of these conferences and there might be press in the room or they might be recording it and they just, they're just reading a canned response. Where when you come to one of our conferences, we really pride ourselves in affording you an opportunity to ask questions to the agencies and legislators that directly affect our industry and actually get an answer. So, when you come away from there should never be a time where you don't feel like your time, energy, money wasn't well spent.
Well, this is all great stuff. So everybody, check out what NAMB's doing for you. Listen, for the ROI for what you're paying to become a member of NAMB, and as we've learned over the past couple of months, frankly, I'm just going to put it out there. They're a real association with a real board with input from the community advocating on your behalf. And that there's really something to be said about this. This is important, especially in our time of change right now. So Valerie, thank you for all that you guys are doing. And I look forward to hopefully seeing you on the 15th in DC. If I do it, I suspect I'll be there with a 17-year-old girl. So I'd love.
Hey, never too early to learn how the wheels of DC work and how they directly affect you.
Well, thank you so much, and we will be talking soon. You have a great day.
Thank you.